Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Vietnam Stock Market Opportunities. It's an honor to be with you today. And if you want to open a legal trading account, please contact us with the email Vietnamstockmarket.entry@gmail.com. Telegram Vietnamstockmarket.entry with the phone number is 8491-432-6556. Or you can also scan the two QR code on the screen so that we can support you. And the other way to contact with us is please follow and subscribe the channel name Areca Capital Channel. The owner of this YouTube channel is Areca Hồng Nguyen. She's a personal financial advisor. You can contact her with the email hongdaguyen@vcsc.com.vn with the phone number is 8491-432-6556. And we always welcome you to our office on the 11th floor, 109 Trường Đại Street, Hoàn Kiếm District, Hà Nội, Vietnam. And the purpose of this video is to update you about Vietnam Strategy 2023. Let's continue with transportation. Logistics players expanding capacity to support growth. Aviation continues to recover. And I will show you the China's reopening to drive fuller recovery of international air transportation. Let's pay attention to the recovery in Vietnam's international aviation segment was muted in 11 months 2022, mainly due to the slow reopening of key tourist markets. According to data from ACV, it welcomed 9.8 million overseas passengers through its international terminals, excluding Bandung International Airport in 11 months 2022, recovering to 26% of its throughput in 11 months 2019. Despite the strong recovery in recent months, international traveler volume to Vietnam in 11 months 2022 was still far below the pre-COVID level. According to the General Statistics Office of Vietnam, international traveler throughput to Vietnam recovered to only 18% of the pre-COVID level in 11 months 2022 to just 2.95 million, which is a long way off from the country's 2022 target of 5 million. Nearby Southeast Asian market exhibited a similar pattern as their numbers of international arrivals in Q3 2022 soared 200% Q-of-Q, but still recovered to less than 40% of their pre-COVID levels. We attribute Southeast Asia's slow recovery of inbound tourists to the drop of its ASEAN, China, and Japan tourists at this region was the top contributor of international tourists to Southeast Asia pre-COVID. However, the recovery rate of Vietnam trailed its Southeast Asia peers in 11 months 2022 due to the country's high dependency on China's tourism and slower relaxation of visa restrictions. Number of international tourists to select Southeast Asian countries in 11 months 2022. China's reopening of international air travel to trigger further recovery in 2023-2024. South Korea spearheaded international arrivals to Vietnam in the initial recovery phase. In 11 months 2022, South Korea accounted for 26% of total international arrivals in Vietnam, but only recovered to 18% of the 2019 level. We attribute the outperformance of the South Korea market in 11 months 2022 to 1. The restoration of air connectivity between the two countries and two South Korea stage removal of entry rules for returners. In May 2022, HVN, BJC, and Korean Air resumed air routes connecting the two countries, which was followed by South Korea lifting all on-arrival COVID tests for travelers in early October 2022. Total number of international arrivals in Vietnam by all transportation modes in 2019. Continued absence of tourists from China and Russia weighed on the recovery of international tourism in Vietnam. China and Russia, which were previously pillars of Vietnam's international tourism industry, with a combined proportion of over 1/3 of foreign tourists arriving in Vietnam in the pre-COVID period, had a combined 11 months 2022 volume that was 2% of the 2019 level. Number of international arrivals to Vietnam to select countries in 11 months 2022. China has progressively relaxed air travel restrictions. China relaxed restrictions on air transportation starting in early December 2022. At the end of December 2022, China's move pointed toward a full reopening of international air transportation. On the 26th December 2022, China's National Health Commission announced that the country will drop COVID-19 quarantine requirements for international passengers starting in the 8th January 2023. Moreover, passport applications for Chinese citizens who wish to travel abroad will resume starting 8 January 2023, according to China's Immigration Administration. As such, the BBC states that many travel sites and agencies in China have reported a spike in traffic as Chinese people are rushing to book travel. We expect China's reopening will spearhead Vietnam's international tourist growth in 2023, as Chinese tourists were the key contributor to Vietnam's international tourism pre-COVID. Following the relaxation of COVID protocols in China, Vietnamese air carriers are allowed to operate a total of 15 flights per week to China starting in December 2022. We expect a strong recovery of international tourists to Vietnam in the near future. The outbound Chinese tourism gains traction from the relaxation of China's zero COVID measures and travel restrictions. Number of international travelers from ASEAN countries to Vietnam in 11 months 2022. Summary of updated travel restrictions and entry protocols of select Asian markets since October 2022. China abandoned its health codes and centralized quarantines while introducing new relaxed measures. In December 2022, Vietnam reopened regular flights to China on the 9th December 2022. On the 26th December 2022, China's National Health Commission announced that the country will drop COVID-19 quarantine requirements for international passengers starting the 8th January 2023. South Korea in early October 2022, South Korea lifted all entry restrictions for foreign visitors, regardless of vacation status. Southeast Asia, Vietnam's largest tourist markets in the region, uh, including Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand, have been reopened to fully vaccinated international tourists with no quarantine requirements. Japan, after the 4th December 2022, there are no countries, regions subject to an entry ban, self-quarantine, and on-arrival COVID testing are no longer required, and visa-free entry resumed on the 11th October 2022. Taiwan. After reopening on the 13th October 2022, Taiwan reinstated its special Guanhung visa program for Vietnamese tourist groups in November 2022. As such, Vietnamese and Taiwanese airlines have resumed two-way air services between the countries. India, as of November 22nd, 2022, India removed restrictions on COVID-19 entry requirements, marking a return to normal tourism activities. In November 2022, there were 21 non-stop air routes and city flights per week connecting Vietnam and India. We expect HVN and VJC's international segments to fully recover by 2025. In its November 2022 report, the ICAO lowered its forecast for international seat capacity of airlines in the Asia Pacific region to 50% and 49% of the 2019 level in its bull and bear cases, compares to 90% and 79% in its August 2022 reports, respectively. In our forecast, total international volume in terms of RPK of HVN and VJC in 2022 will be equal to 36%, 64%, 96%, 107% of their pre-COVID numbers in 2022, 2023, and 2024, 2025 forwards respectively. Increased fuel cost to weigh on airlines' profitability. Fuel costs are the largest component of airlines in Vietnam, accounting for 29% and 43% of HVN and VJC's average total cost in 2015 to 2019 respectively. We forecast higher jet fuel costs mainly due to our higher spread projection. We maintain our in-house forecast for average Brent oil prices of $95, $90, $75, $75 in 2023, 2023, 2024, and 2025 forwards respectively, which are stated in our July 2022 energy sector report. Oil prices to maintain higher for longer. In our January 3rd, 2023 airline Saturday report, we increased our forecast for the spread between jet fuel and Brent oil prices to $37, $26, uh, 15 billion US dollar, 10 billion US dollar in 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025 forwards, compared to 28 billion US dollar, 15 billion US dollar, 15 billion US dollar, and 10 billion US dollar in our previous assumptions, respectively. We maintain our view that airlines in Vietnam can partially pass through higher fuel costs to their passengers given the short-term demand surge. According to the IATA, the airfares of airlines under its coverage increased 4% year-over-year in 2021. This trend is expected to continue in 2022 and 2023. According to the IATA's forecast of its airline fares rising 6% year-over-year in 2023 forwards. Per local media reports, domestic airfares of Vietnamese airlines in Q2 2022 surpassed their pre-pandemic levels due to strong domestic demand during the 2022 summer travel season. The momentum continued in Q3 and Q4 2022 as the number of domestic passengers remained above the pre-COVID level. The recommendations for 2023 by Saigon Cargo Service. SCS, we have a bullish view on SCS thanks to its strong balance sheet and sustainable market position in Ho Chi Minh City. We believe SCS is well positioned to thrive through a challenging period of the air cargo transportation industry over the short term. Additionally, we believe SCS looks attractive at our 2021 to 2024 forwards PEG of 0.9 times based on our forecast due to its strong balance sheet and sustainable duopoly market position. Our current forecast and valuation conservatively assume that SCS will not enter a long-time international airport, indicating that SCS share price is quite attractive even if it does not enter this new major airport. For 2022 forwards, we forecast revenue to rise 8.7% year-over-year to 912 billion Vietnam dong, 37 million US dollar, which will mainly be driven by 2.4% year-over-year growth in cargo volume and a 5.5% year-over-year increase in average service price. Moreover, we forecast SCS net profit after tax MI to increase 15% year-over-year to 652 billion Vietnam dong, 30 million US dollar. We forecast 2023 forward revenue of 1 trillion Vietnam dong, 41 million US dollar, more than 13% year-over-year, and net profit after tax MI of 718 billion US dollar, 29 million 718 billion Vietnam dong, 29 million US dollar, more than 10% year-over-year. We expect the top line growth to be mainly driven by 10% year-over-year cargo volume growth, while the bottom line year-over-year increase is partially offset by a higher corporate income tax rate following the end of the 5% CIT incentive period at end 2022. Downside risk to our positive view, lower than expected trade flows, airport capacity constraints at SGN by Chairman. We expect GMD to be major beneficiary of increasing manufacturing activity in Vietnam. We have a bullish view on GMD over the long term thanks to, firstly, its ability to expand capacity while other container ports are not able to do the same. Secondly, GMD offering integrated logistics service offerings from deep sea ports, river ports, island container depot, and distribution centers to shipping and tracking across Vietnam that are attractive to customers. And thirdly, GMD's proven execution track record and superior operating efficiency compares to competitors. We forecast 2022 forward revenue of 3.8 trillion Vietnam dong, 153 million US dollar, more than 17% year-over-year, and net profits after tax MI of 918 billion Vietnam dong, 37 million US dollar, more than 50% year-over-year, which we expect to be mainly driven by strong growth in GMD's core business and a full year profits contribution from the Chemalin ports. For 2023 forward, we forecast revenue to rise 4.7% year-over-year to 3.9 trillion Vietnam dong, 157 million US dollar, and net profits after tax MI to increase 9.4% year-over-year to 1 trillion Vietnam dong, 40 million US dollar, as we expect net income from affiliates will be our key driver, while operating profits growth from core businesses will decelerate. Downside risk to our positive view, lower growth in throughput and/or tariffs, slower development of Vietnam's in transportation infrastructure new network. Yeah, and that brings me to the end of my presentation today. So if you want to open a legal trading account, don't hesitate to contact with us with the information on the screen so that we can assist you. Thank you for your attention and see you next time.